These are the three ways that the Iran war can end. And before we get into this, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. What do you think of this war? Do you think that it's just going to be something that disappears? Or are we entering a historical period of time in which we cannot go back? I mean, I see it all over social media. Americans are stranded. Americans are worried. Not only Americans, but Africans are chiming in. The Middle East is a hot mess. Iran, they say, is now raining black acid rain on children's skin that literally can melt their skin and give them acid burns. I mean, this is pretty diabolical what's happening, and it doesn't look like there's any type of end in sight.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say it's not anytime soon. Like, historically, it's not going back. I'll say that. The damage is already done. There's a lot of things that people have to realize that this is a big change in everything. You got to think about all the refineries that's been missiled and bombed. You get what I'm saying? And you, just like you was just saying about how the rain, that's something different. That's something different. It's like, there's really no going back. It's just going to get worse in a way.
Yes, and all of this environmental damage is horrible. So, guys, here we go. Now, there are only 3 real ways for this war to end. Not 10, not 20, 3 core ways. And I want you to drop down what you think is most likely down below. Every military strategist, diplomat, and intelligence agency in the world is quietly running these scenarios behind the scenes to see what the true outpour is going to be. Because once a conflict reaches the scale that this conflict has, the outcomes narrow pretty quickly. So scenario 1 is America pulls back. This is the least destructive outcome, but politically the hardest. The United States have been the objective, and they have decided to achieve all of their objectives throughout this process. Airstrikes damaging infrastructure, sanctions tightening, naval pressure increasing, and if the U.S. were to withdraw too quickly, critics say America would lose its credibility. And let's be honest here, we have President Donald Trump in office. Is this even a scenario that would actually happen? Can you imagine President Trump goes into the White House and sends out an immediate press release, an immediate meeting, and says, hey guys, I'm going to pull back out of this war. We've caused enough damage. I don't want to cause any more damage to the world. The Epstein files are out. They're showing me in the files too. This is another reason to pull back. So let's just stop right now. But that's one way that it could end, right? And this would be an Iran win, basically. Because they would frame it as a victory. China and Russia would look like, okay, America can't back up what they're saying. And while this scenario avoids a massive war, it gives America political humiliation on a global stage.
Yeah, I would definitely say this is not going to happen. We know the pride of Donald Trump. And I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention to the U.S. dollar strength, but the U.S. dollar strength has been rising. The dollar has been getting stronger ever since this war started. Yeah. This is something that we just went over this morning, our morning, but 8 p.m. EST and Sunday Market Blueprints. And like a lot of people were shocked. Wow. And I was like, I'm kind of shocked, but not really, because what's happening in this war, they are taking out oil refineries. And the only oil that's really left pretty much that you can kind of say is Venezuela's oil, and we know who has that oil. So that's something to think about. That's something that we just went over. The U.S. dollar strength is still gaining. I wish that we paid rent a little bit later this week, because that dollar is strong right now.
That's insane. But let's go to scenario 2, because this is a likely scenario, a ground invasion. This means America decides to send in millions and millions of troops. They decide to do a draft, which, by the way, is already legal. They already changed the requirements about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, to where they're like, hey, if you're about 24 years old, you're gonna have to go into this draft if there was to be a war. They have everything in place already if they wanted to do this. But this is where it gets extremely dangerous, because Iran isn't just some ordinary terrain. And Iran is not Iraq. It's not Afghanistan. Iran is a massive country. Look at the map. Pause this video, look at the map while you're listening to the video. And they have massive mountain terrains, deserts, and a hardened military network that's not alone. They're backed by Russia and China. Russia has come out. Actually, the United States came out and said they found out the Russian intelligence is telling Iran about U.S. targets in the Middle East. And just so you know, Iran's geography alone makes large-scale invasion extremely, extremely costly. Military planners obviously know this. Even limited operations would involve brutal urban warfare. And I just want to also point out, the men that are in the military, the women that are in the military today, are not the same ones that were in the Korean War. They're not the same ones that were in World War II. America has got progressively more obese and unhealthy. Let's be honest. America's war age people today, I don't think alone could take the same type of things that they used to do in World War II, in the Korean War, in the Vietnam War. I mean, these are people that are very, very unhealthy, even at the top of their weight class, the top of their military training. America's food production, what America feeds her citizens, isn't really the healthiest stuff. So I really wonder how long the American military would last without like drones and AI robots and like forces like that coming to assist them, which could be on the table. But once troops enter a country of nearly 90 million people, Iran has 90 million people, escalation becomes very difficult to control. Wars that begin as short operations often become long occupations, like the 20-year Afghanistan war. And history has been shown how costly those can be.
Yeah, for me, I would say this is likely to happen. Yeah, I can definitely see this happening with Donald Trump. He definitely doesn't want to lose this war, even if that means that people are going to, be sacrificed and things like that. As he said people are going to lose their lives, and he has no problem doing that. So people are going to probably get on the ground pretty soon if they can get close to like a military base close to Iran, because as we see, Iran, they're bombing all the military bases around the Middle East, that's close to the Middle East. So that's something that I believe could happen.
That's so unfortunate. But you know what? I think scenario 2 is still better than scenario 3, because here's the third and final way that this war could end. Nuclear escalation. This is the scenario that the entire world fears the most. Every single person, every single body on this planet does not want this to happen, except obviously the elites. They may want it to happen, okay? Iran possesses significant amounts of highly enriched uranium and nuclear infrastructure, even though inspectors have not confirmed a full weapons program yet. If a government believes its survival is threatened, nuclear deterrence becomes a powerful incentive to save their country, to save their people, to save what is left of Iran, because again, they have also announced today that the new leader of the country is the previous Ayatollah's son. Okay? So they have put now almost like this family dynasty in place in Iran, which Iran has not seen in a very, very long time, okay? Like, we're really going back to like the ancient Persian days, because in Iran right now, ancient Persia, his son is in his stead. His son is sitting there, and you can imagine how his son would feel about this if he feels like his dad was a martyr. He was, to him, maybe the greatest man, maybe to the Iranians the greatest man. So he would have some true motivations here to drag this out even further. Who knows if he would decide nuclear arms are needed, but he has the right type of motivations to say what Iran has already said on the forefront: we're ready for a ground war with you. Iran knows that they have a rigid terrain that's dry in the desert. They know how to starve out Americans if the American military were to come in there. You're on the home base, like literally, that's your home like if you were in high school doing sports, you know that when the sport was at your home base, you felt like you had an advantage. That's Iran's advantage if America were to go ahead and send troops on the ground. And this is why experts worry that large-scale attacks could actually push Iran towards building a nuclear weapon rather than stopping it. Once nuclear weapons enter the picture, every single thing changes. Regional war becomes a global risk. Energy markets will explode like they are right now. Military alliances will begin to activate. This is already happening. And the consequences extend far beyond the Middle East.
I feel like this could happen also. We see them already testing nuclear head missiles. So that this could happen. This really could happen. So you really got to pay attention closely to what's the next move, because we are on what, day 8, 9?
8 or 9, something like that.
Yeah, last Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
Almost two.
Last Saturday. So
Saturdays ago.
yeah, that's I believe something like this could happen.
Yeah, let us know down below which of these 3 scenarios is most likely. And I think when you put it in this perspective, that there are only 3 ways out of it, and you ask yourself, okay, which one is most likely to happen? Number 1 would be the most peaceful, but number 1 probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, or I would say Iran, they surrender too. So, but that looks like that's not going to happen either. They're like, nope.
They killed their leaders. They killed 40 of the leadership board. I'm surprised they didn't take out this new son that's the Ayatollah.
Well, he said it. He said, I'm the leader, so he has to be careful now. You know, they target the leaders and say, hey, if we don't like you, we're going to take you out. So, yeah. Yeah,
because President Donald Trump had said that he wanted a hand into choosing the next leader. And I don't think he would have wanted it to be the Ayatollah's son. So, you know, President Trump is going to have to figure out what he's going to do about that in his mind. But if you like this video, hit the like button, share, subscribe. If you are looking to exit America, do so soon, because again, there's only 3 ways this war can end. Somebody pulls the white flag and says, okay, you can come take over. Nobody's going to do that, most likely. That's probably like a 0% chance. I bet if you were to ask ChatGPT now, what is the chance that that would happen, scenario 1, it would probably tell you negative 100%. Number 2, I believe, is the most likely. I'm thinking they won't immediately go to nuclear capabilities. I think it will be troops on the ground, and that is going to create a level of global world chaos. But in that scenario, there are potentially flights that would still be maneuvering throughout Southern Africa, Southern America, and places like that, to where you could kind of still travel in different areas of the world. Some places of the world would still be safe and similar to how they were before the war, like Mauritius, like South Africa, like a Botswana, Namibia, Rwanda, places like that. But then there are also places on the continent like a Kenya, Ethiopia, and Eritrea, where the stakes are a little bit higher now because they are in that region. So that's something to be aware of. And then scenario number 3, nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to think about that. But we have thought about that, and we have decided, you know, if scenario number 3 were to happen, we would stay right here in Mauritius and be just the last humans that are on the earth.
Yeah.
Just down here at the bottom of the world, just the last people, y'all willing, that are on the earth. Exactly. So those are our 3 scenarios that we have as humanity today.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would definitely end with this sooner than later if you are thinking about traveling, because it seems like this war is spreading all over the world, especially this side of the world, just like my wife was just saying, Ethiopia, Kenya, and things like that.
Sudan, they said they would get in it.
That's another one too, where it's like, they trying to get everybody involved. So pretty soon, you know, flights is going to be super expensive or non-existent. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to move wisely. Make your next move
your best move, and make your calling and election sure. You don't want to get caught. You don't want to be in America. You don't want to be in China. You don't want to be in Iran. You don't want to be in Israel. You don't want to be in Russia. These places are the core target practice areas. These places are going to be the hardest falls, especially America, because America does not produce her own goods and services. America is up there in the northern hemisphere, where you also have to deal with winter. At least in the southern hemisphere, the fact that you have summer the majority of the time is really on your side in these scenarios. But I just can't imagine this war breaks out in the winter. That's why the scripture says, you know, make sure that your flight is not in the winter or a Shabbat. Because man, if your flight is in the winter, it's too much. You can't grow food. It's very chaotic. But shalom, shalom. We'll see you in the next video. Check out the links in the description, or visit www.journeywithusmove-to-africa.com/services if this video intrigued you and you would like to exit America sooner rather than later.
Shalom.